You've heard of being lactose intolerant? Well, in this channel, we're rulebook intolerant. I'm Ryan from How I Roll, and in this Rip Up the Rules, I'm going to teach you how to set up and play Cooper's Hill cheese rolling, the world's most dangerous race, so you can roll, tumble, and cheese chase your way to glory. So take that rulebook and send it through the cheese grater because you don't need it anymore. And hey, before we go on, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks so much. Cooper's Hill Cheese Rolling is designed by Buck Wallert and published by Buck Naked Games, who also helped sponsor this video. It's a lightning-fast, cheese-filled free-for-all game for 3 to 6 players that plays in about 10 to 15 minutes. Please note that the copy of this game used in this video is a prototype and it's subject to changes, both in art and other aspects such as the mini-games and scenarios. There's always room at the table for you, especially if you're bringing cheese with you. So come grab a seat and let's hop into this dangerous race together. If you've ever watched the infamous Cooper's Hill cheese rolling on YouTube where people hurl themselves down a steep hill chasing a giant wheel of cheese and thought, yeah, I could do that, this is the board game for you. In Cooper's Hill cheese rolling, you compete in the legendary cheese race. You'll roll the cheese down the hill and then frantically roll your meeples, trying to land them all on their feet before your opponents. But it's never that simple, because every round throws in hilarious scenarios and mini games that make things even more chaotic. Think you've got the coordination and strength to become a cheese chasing champion? Let's find out. Here's how you set up the game. First, unfold the box in the middle of the table and move all of the components off to the side except for the hill, which is placed right here. Each player selects a character card and takes the 4 matching colored meeples. Now each of these characters has its own unique ability depicted here as well as on the back in similar print. You decide as a group if you're going to use these special abilities or not. Either way, flip your player card face down to display the scenario tracker and momentum meter. Each player should also take a dry erase marker and a 20-sided die, otherwise known as a D20. Next, place one of your meeples at the very top of the hill on the game board. The other 3 meeples go in front of you in your personal roll zone. Finally, place the big cheese wheel in the ramp slot at the top of the hill. And that's it. The game is set up and you're ready to roll. Or at least the giant cheese wheel is. Choose a starting player and hand them this Master of Ceremonies token. A round of Cooper's Hill cheese rolling works like this. The player with the Master of Ceremonies token is the starting player and rolls the cheese down the ramp. The cheese will eventually stop on one of its 12 sides, showing either a number, 1, 2, or 3, or the scenario symbol. If it's a number, players will enter into a meeple rolling race using the number of meeples displayed on the cheese wheel. However, if it's the scenario symbol, or if the cheese has fallen on its side, you'll instead play one of the 20 mini games included in the game. Let's break both of these outcomes down now. If the cheese wheel stops on a number, players each gather that number of their meeples and get ready to start rolling them in a race to be the first player with all of your meeples standing upright. The first player to have all of their meeples standing on their feet grabs the cheese wheel and is the winner of that round and gets to advance 1 space down the hill and closer to victory. To start the rolling, true to the real life race, players all say together, ready, steady, 3 cheese, 4 chase, and everyone begins rolling. Once a meeple is standing up, leave it alone and work on the remaining ones. However, be careful because if you knock it back down, you need to re-roll it. So for example, since the cheese wheel landed on a 2, all players would pick up 2 of their meeples, count the race in together, and then begin a frenzy of rolling until one player has all of their meeples standing up. Since the yellow player was the first to do so and grab the cheese wheel, they would move their meeple 1 spot down the hill. So that's how you deal with a number. If the cheese wheel is showing the scenario symbol or laying on its side, you get to play a mini game. The player with the Master of Ceremonies token rolls a D20 to determine which mini game will be played. Find the mini game card that matches and read it aloud to the group. As an example, if you roll a 13, you're playing token balance, where the player with the Master of Ceremonies token places the Master of Ceremonies token on their forehead and then attempts to lay down flat on the floor and get back up again without dropping it. If you're successful, advance 1 space on your momentum meter. But wait, Ryan, what's this momentum meter you speak of? I'm so glad you asked. On the bottom of your player card, you will be tracking momentum right here. Every time you succeed in a minigame, you check off 1 space. Once you have 3 momentum, you get to move your racer 1 space down the hill for free. Immediately erase and reset your momentum meter. Here's one more minigame example. Maybe you get 11, token flip, where each player has the opportunity to make a wager. If they decide to participate, you flip the token. If it lands on heads, they advance 1 space on their momentum meter. If it's tails, they move back 1 space on their momentum meter. And that's a round, except there's one more catch. One doesn't simply take a gentle jog down the hill on a cheese race. You wish. At the end of each round, every player rolls their D20 and checks their scenario tracker. This adds a fun, or painful, mostly painful twist to the game for them. Check off the scenario that you rolled and apply it for the rest of the game. And if you roll a scenario you already have, move to the next closest number in either direction. These scenarios stack up and make rolling your meeples harder, but also funnier. For example, if I roll a 1, I check off head/thumb. This means I can no longer use my thumbs when rolling meeples. Awkward. Or if I roll a 15, from now on I have to scream ah before every single roll I make. Ah! 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 Yeah, those can add up and get pretty insane. But realistically, not more insane than injuring yourself to race down a hill chasing a cheese wheel. And that's how a round works. The starting player rolls the cheese wheel down the hill, and if it's a number, all players race to roll that many standing meeples, and the winner gets to move down the hill. If it's the scenario icon or it tips over, you play a mini game selected by rolling a d20 that awards momentum to the winner. Whether it's a mini game or rolling meeples, at the end of the round, all players roll their d20 and gain that scenario and mark it on their player card. At the end of the round, you pass the Master of Ceremonies token to the next player in clockwise order and do it all over again. One last thing to mention, there are 2 optional variants in this game. First off, remember that both sides of these player cards have a player advantage listed at the bottom of it. During setup, players should have decided together whether or not to use these powers. If so, each player should keep an eye out for and put into effect their own unique advantage that are triggered during the end of the round scenario check. As an example, Christopher Anderson gets to advance 1 spot down the hill each time any player rolls a 20 during this phase, but it can only be triggered once per turn. Or if you're Abby Lamp, each time someone rolls a 3, you can remove one of your scenarios. And the other variant, which is again up to a group decision, is that you can optionally cap the number of scenarios a player can have to 3. So when you gain a 4th, you would remove the one that you've had for the longest and continue doing this every time you gain another one. Like I said, these variants are totally up to you. Play continues like this round after round with the Master of Ceremonies token moving clockwise around the table with players racing down the hill. Each time you advance your meeple, it moves 1 number higher, beginning at the 1 space and then moving to the 2 space, then the 3 space, this massive 4 space, and then finally across the finish line. Once a player makes it across the finish line, the game ends and they are crowned the official winner of the most dangerous race in the world. The rest of the players should probably take a trip to the emergency room to have their injuries tended to. And that's Cooper's Hill Cheese Rolling, the most dangerous race in the world. No rulebook required, just laughter, questionable coordination, and the constant threat of dairy-related disaster. Have a great time playing this game. If anything is unclear or you have any questions, drop a comment below and you'll hear right back from me. You can also track me down on social media and Board Game Geek. I've linked the Board Game Geek page for Cooper's Hill Cheese Rolling in the description below where you can learn even more about this game. Thank you so much for watching another Rip Up the Rules, because that's how I roll. Well, at least it's how I roll cheese.